Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar. We are looking forward to having you with us today. This webinar will give you the opportunity to hear from and ask questions of some of our MAB alumni. To that end, if you have questions during the webinar, please enter them into the chat feature of Zoom. Alternately, you can tweet to @KSUMAB using the hashtag MABwebinar. We will have time at the end of the webinar today for questions if you'd like to ask them then, but you are also welcome to go ahead and type questions into the chat throughout the webinar. I'm Deborah Cole, and I serve as the MAB Program Coordinator, a role I've held since 2012. The MAB program began in 1998 in response to the call from state leaders to find an effective way to build leadership in agribusiness that would be accessible to those living in the rural areas of Kansas or who were unable to leave their careers due to do a face-to-face residential program. Within 1 year, that program grew outside of the state of Kansas and now includes more than 500 students and alumni from 40 different states and more than 30 different countries. Our strength lies in the fact that we are not your average MBA. We are a business-focused degree grounded in food, agriculture, and animal health. All of our students have earned a bachelor's degree, during which they completed coursework in accounting, statistics, and economics, and obtained at least 2 or more years of professional experience. Computer literacy is also pretty important for our students because we are a hybrid distance program. As I mentioned, the focus of the webinar today is to hear from some of our MAB alumni firsthand about their experiences. One of the steps that we encourage students to take as they consider the program is to connect with someone in our network. We know that the network built through the MAB is one of the strengths that sets us apart from your average off-the-shelf MBA. And we really rely on our students and alumni to make sure that they're spreading the good word about the program itself. I will introduce each of our panelists as they begin to speak, and this is the order that we'll be going in. We have Shelby Drye, who's an agricultural manager for Spreckels Sugar with us today. We also have Kornmann, who's an economist and project manager at John Deere, and then Ben Blue, who is an account manager with Darigold. So Shelby's going to go first. Shelby Drye is an accomplished professional with excellent speaking skills, and he's been very successful at persuasion, leadership, sales, and cohesion when it benefits in sales and partnerships. His achievements revolve around agribusiness, the coordination of all the activities that contribute to the production, processing, marketing, distribution, financing, and development of agricultural food commodities and resources, which includes, but is not limited to, food, fiber, natural resources, horticulture, and other plant and animal products and services. He has experience with agricultural development and technology, from tractor work and to design and implementation of new technology systems. Coming from a farming community, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty with manual labor as well. He's been involved in farming since 2006 and enjoys all of the facets of agriculture. He currently works for Spreckels Sugar Company as their agricultural manager. So I'm going to just turn it over to Shelby. And Shelby, when you're ready for a slide to advance, please just go ahead and let me know.
Okay, will do. So, as Deborah said, my name is Shelby Drye. I'm the agricultural manager for Spreckels Sugar Company. I grew up in the Imperial Valley, that's in Southern California, where temperatures can reach up to 120 degrees. Just north of the Mexico border. Early in my life, when I graduated from high school, I had to make a decision on what the rest of my life was going to look like. I had 2 options. One was spend a lot of money and go off to a large 4-year university, or 2, save some money and stay locally at a extension to a much larger university. I chose to save some money. I chose to go to San Diego State University, extension to San Diego State University in San Diego. However, San Diego State University, the extension in Calexico, only had basically 3 options for a bachelor's degree. One was psychology, the other was criminal justice, and the other one was liberal arts. I didn't want to go, I really didn't want to go any of those routes. However, the 2 biggest industries in my area were law enforcement and agriculture. For that reason, to save money and to get through my education quickly and get a bachelor's degree, not quite knowing what I wanted to do with my future, I decided to enter into the criminal justice program at San Diego State University. I completed that program. I was the class of 2013. Just before completing that program, a position with a local sugar beet processing facility opened up, and I decided to apply for it. I had experience throughout high school and college working in the ag industry. So I figured, what the heck, might as well try. I need a job, got to pay the bills for my bachelor's degree. So I applied to Spreckels Sugar Company for their agriculturalist position in 2013. To my surprise, my experience in ag paid off, and I was called and given the job as agriculturalist. Along the way, many people asked me why did I have a criminal justice degree? I was an ag. Well, that's kind of why I opened up this presentation with the reasoning behind getting that degree. I was told early on by a lot of friends and family that you tend to change your education once you get into a career path that you enjoy. I started with Spreckels Sugar. I enjoyed what I was doing, but about 4 to 5 years into the job, I really decided that I wanted more. I started to enjoy the ag industry. I started to enjoy the growers. I started to enjoy the relationships I was making. And I decided it was probably time that I had an education in my career, or the career path I was taking. So I started to look online for opportunities. I also knew that I wanted to climb the ladder, the corporate ladder, and I knew that my current boss, the agricultural manager for Spreckels Sugar, was going to retire. He decided to retire. He retired this year. As I was looking for programs in the field of agriculture and universities to go to, I had a friend that mentioned K-State and that they have some good programs. From that, I decided to do some research. I knew I wanted a program that focused on management as well as accounting and business. And so after looking quite a bit online through various programs at various universities, the Masters of Agribusiness program from K-State University really popped out at me as being a program that was flexible and gave me the opportunity to continue with my job, continue in the career that I liked, while also being educated. And so at the end of the day, I decided to do the program at Kansas State University, and I'm very excited that I did. And I'm very excited that I was able to achieve what I did while in the program and meet the people that I've gotten to meet. If you'd like to go to the next slide, Deborah. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about the company I work for. I work for Spreckels Sugar Company. We every year plant 24,500 acres of sugar beets, which are processed into granulated white sugar. There are several byproducts that come from processing sugar beets into sugar. Two main products are molasses and beet pulp. Our mission statement and vision statement, which are always important to have. I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty here, so bear with me. Our mission statement: bring appreciable value to shareholders, employees, customers through environmental excellence, uncompromising safety, and unparalleled integrity, quality, efficiency, and industry-leading innovation. Our vision: the vision is to be the permanent integrated sugar producer in the world. Statement of purpose: the purpose is to unite producers in a cooperative venture that will enhance profitability and increase opportunities for shareholders, employees, and surrounding communities. Spreckels Sugar Co. and growers grow, harvest, and process 24,500 acres of sugar beets annually at the southernmost part of California and the Brazil Valley. The Spreckels sugar labels are primarily marketed in the western half of the United States. Spreckels sugar packages granulated sugar in 50-pound bags, 2,000-pound totes, and bulk trucks. There are also co-products created in the sugar process, which include, as I spoke to earlier, pulp and beet molasses. As the agricultural manager, I basically stand between the company and the factory, and I uphold the contract we have with 60-plus growers. It can definitely be challenging at some point in time. There are growers that like to work with you. There are growers that don't like to work with you. However, it is a very rewarding job. If you'd like to go to the next slide, Deborah. While working at Spreckels, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but as my boss retired, I assumed his position. It was a promotion to agricultural manager, which was really a changing time for myself. I had just gotten pretty tired of the position I was in, looking for a better opportunity. I had just graduated from my master's program, looking for a better opportunity. I was rather young. There were a lot of coworkers and individuals around me that were much older and probably more ripe for the position. However, it is my master's degree, I believe, that set me apart when interviewing for my boss's position. Some of my greatest achievements in 2020 were being promoted to agricultural manager. And in that position, I closed a $1.2 million byproduct sales deal on pulp, which I spoke to earlier, which is basically what's left after you grind down, slice down, and boil out sugar beets. Successfully leading a team through COVID, through the changes brought on by COVID-19. This is a big one. I had just graduated from my master's degree, first time as a manager, and I had 7 people under me looking to me for answers. How to work from home, how to run technology from home, how to keep up with grower relations from home, various questions, various changes that had to be made at a department level due to the fact that a majority of the activities for my staff and myself were ran out of our office. And so as a new manager, here I was faced with all these challenges. Challenges can be a good thing, depending on how you respond to them. I believe that working through the master's program gave me that ability to think outside the box and really get an understanding of what other options are out there when faced with challenges. It's really important to understand that if you are a young person in the workplace today with very little experience, a master's degree can make all the difference. I had several friends telling me, what's the point of a master's degree? I said, well, I'm young. and I want to get to places faster. I want to climb the corporate ladder faster, and I want to have the knowledge to do so. And I can genuinely say that these three achievements, the biggest achievements in 2020 for myself, I would not have been able to accomplish them without going through the challenges that the MAB program has provided for me, and accomplishing all that was set for me in that program and graduating from it. If you'd like, Deborah, you can go to the next slide. I know that many of you, if you're not already in the Masters of Agribusiness program at K-State, will be most likely considering it. If you are in the Masters of Agribusiness program already, I just want to put forth three key things to success in the program. One would be make and foster short and long-term relationships. When I got to the classroom on the first day, I was alone. I had flown in from California. It was a long ways away from home. I was starting this new adventure, this new chapter of my life, and I knew that the first thing I needed to do was make some relationships. I had a relationship with every class member. Most importantly, there were two individuals that I really clicked with, and found that I could get along with them really well. We all were kind of in the same boat when it came to our knowledge of education and the classes and things that would go on in the program. And so it was those relationships that really helped me get through the program. And so I would encourage anyone coming on or anyone that is in the program, stay connected, stay in contact with your classmates, your cohort members, your teachers and professors. And then number two, don't give up. It will only be hard for a moment in time. There were times where I thought I might want to give up, but I knew that with the support of my friends and family, that I could go to them for the encouragement I needed. And I would encourage all of you to do that before you're ready to give up. Ask for help. And that brings us to number three. Everyone in the program is very helpful, especially Deborah and Mary. They will help you get through the program. They want to see you succeed. They've created the program so that you will succeed. They put the right people in the right classrooms. They've given you the right technology and books to help you get through the program. And so before you're ready to give up, ask for help, because it's the people around you in the program that will help you get through it. Number four, I can't stress this enough, get started on your dissertation or thesis. The program has one. Everyone is there willing to help you get through it. But it is a lot easier to get through if you start it on day one. And you can do that by gearing your assignments to something you just really love to do. It can be a project that you're working on in the current company you work for. It can be a project you want to work on for a company you wish you worked for. However, the more assignments and things you can gear towards gaining information for your thesis will make it all the more easier to do come time to do it. It is the last hurdle to graduating, and for some, it can be drug on if not prepared for it. So those would probably be the four key things I could give from my experience in the MAB program. It's definitely given me a leg up in my place of work. I definitely would not be making the money I make today and be in the position I am today at the age of 29 if it wasn't for the program. I'm very young, very well traveled and now I can say I'm very well educated as well. And so I just encourage all of you to try to follow in the footsteps of those who lead in the world today with a master's degree. And the MAB program is a great way to go. So with that, if anyone has any questions, you can ask them now. I will put my contact information in the chat if any of you want to reach out to me later. If you have more questions. I was told I didn't have a lot of time, but tried to give you a brief view of my company and my past leading up to making the decisions I have to be educated and seek for higher positions in management for the company I work for. I've now been working for this company for 8 years, and I'm very excited to have the career I do, and I am very excited to advance with the company I work for. So with that, I'll turn it over to Deborah.
Great, thanks, Shelby. And we'll keep our eyes on the chat, and I will continue to check our Twitter as well. So feel free to go ahead and type into the chat if you have questions. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lauren so she can share a little bit about her experiences with the program. Lauren Kornmann is an economist with John Deere and Company. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Marketing Communications with a minor in agricultural business from the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. She's a 2014 graduate of the MAB program. And in her current role, she's responsible for the monitoring and analysis of global, political, economic, and technical events and trends that will impact the Deere business. Lauren, all yours.
All right, thanks, Deborah. You can go ahead and advance to the next slide. All right, thank you. So like Deborah said, I do work at John Deere. I've been at Deere for about 10 years now. My current role is economist and project manager. And then on the left-hand side there, you can see some of the different roles that I've held within the company. Like Deborah said, I did get my bachelor's from University of Wisconsin, River Falls. And while I was in my credit analyst position in our Madison, Wisconsin John Deere financial location, my manager had been pushing me to pursue a master's degree. So that's when I started to look around and see what was available, and I decided to do the Master's of Agribusiness from K-State. Deborah, if you want to advance to the next slide. So at the time, there were a bunch of different programs available, and being in Madison, the University of Wisconsin would have been a pretty easy choice. But I knew first and foremost, I wanted to pick a program that had a focus on agriculture. So I grew up very involved in 4-H, FFA. I was raised on a farm, and then obviously working for John Deere, having an ag background, just having that focus on agriculture was an important aspect that I wanted to keep for an ag program. If you could advance again. Something else that I really wanted to focus on, since there weren't a lot of ag programs obviously in Madison at the time, I still wanted to have that on-campus feature. So the K-State program, the fact that I could do part of it online from Madison as well as go on campus, that was really important to me. And there's really not a whole lot of other programs like that out there, at least at the time when I was looking. So that was a really important feature. If you could advance again. And then another feature that I really liked about the K-State program was the thesis option. I can touch a little bit more further on about this, but not all other programs have a thesis option, and I wanted to really focus on a project that could highlight my work and my capabilities. At the time when we were picking thesis projects, I was already in our treasury department, and I was selected then to revamp and redesign the John Deere Global Investment Guidelines, which was a huge project. it took about 9 months just to put this together. And it was great that I was able to work on it while I was at work and then also for this program. And I got to work with a lot of different managers and directors and VPs in the Deere business to do this, which was just an awesome opportunity. And in the end, I even got to present this to our CFO in the boardroom. So there's not a whole lot of projects or work opportunities at that level that I was in at the time. So this really helped advance my career, just this project alone. And then I just also wanted something different. At John Deere, I'm at the headquarters, which is located in the Quad Cities. If you don't know where that is, it's where Iowa and Illinois come together. It's about 2 hours from Chicago. So at our location, there's a lot of factories, there's a lot of employees, and a lot of times people just select the master's program from the University of Iowa. So a lot of the company has masters from this school. So I wanted to stand out and also have something a little different that not everyone had on their resume. So that's another reason why I chose the K-State MAB program. Some important takeaways from me, I think first and foremost would be that thesis project, which I said really helped advance my career. But there are other things like business tools, such as helping me improve my analytical and problem solving skills. Just my ecology to kind of approach problems and analyze data from many of the classes, like finance, the econometrics courses, and the econ classes. They really just helped advance those for me. And then also, by the time I took this MAB course, I'd been out of school or out of my undergraduate courses for a while. So you kind of forget how to write a formal communication or even how to verbally communicate. And in some of my earlier positions at John Deere, I wasn't using those as much. But now in my latest role as an economist, I'm having to write emails and communications that are going up to our CEO on a weekly basis. So some of the courses from MAB really helped refine those skills and help me in positions further on in my career, which I'm very grateful for. And then also project and time management skills. Also, I got to advance in those skills as well, especially in this current role where you're maybe given a larger project, which I could kind of think back to the thesis work where it's, a larger project. And like Shelby said, if you start that earlier on and just kind of hit those smaller milestones, that really helps you meet your deadlines. So, kind of working on the thesis project, you can also relate that back to work projects. And then I think probably one of the most important skills or takeaways from the MAB program is just the different industry relationships. Out of our class, there were quite a few John Deere employees, and they were based out of Olathe, Kansas. So just meeting other Deere employees was great from that perspective, but also just others in the industry that are grain merchandisers or working for the USDA. So I've built a lot of lasting relationships from the course, and every now and then we'll email each other and ask questions and see what's going on, and I've even gotten some help on some other things from them. So it's just great to have those other contacts to reach out to, which I'm sure you get from other courses, but it seems like the MAB course just has so many different people from around the country. It's just nice to make those connections. So overall, I think this is my last slide. Overall, a lot of great takeaways from the MAB course for me. I've used a lot of them to advance my career to get me where I am today, and really thankful that I picked this program versus the other ones that were out there at the time. I don't know if there's any questions. Otherwise, I can hand it back to Deborah.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren, for weighing in on that. And we'll go ahead and I'm going to shift to Ben. Please feel free to ask any questions in that chat feature again, or you can go ahead and email them to us or tweet them to us. I am monitoring the Twitter feed, but we'll go ahead and we'll go on to Ben Blue. Ben Blue is not just a farm kid. Sorry, he's not a farm kid. He's just an agriculture enthusiast. So Being able to contribute to feeding the world and knowing that there will always be a need for food has been his inspiration. And he thinks that that kind of an inspiration is what you will need if you're considering the agriculture or food industry. He's worked as a crop scout, a soil sampler, a seed salesperson, an operations manager at a crop consulting company. He worked as a coffee farm consultant in Costa Rica, and then traded grain and managed an export program for a specialty crop company, planned production for an international dairy company, and is now managing accounts for food companies across North America. Ben currently lives in Seattle, Washington, and works for Darigold at their corporate office. He's an avid backpacker and really thinks people need to spend more time outdoors. Ben, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over for you.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So good morning for me in Seattle. Good afternoon, I guess, to the rest of you throughout the rest of the country. So I apologize, I didn't put together any slides like the other two did. I did wash my hair and put on a collared shirt thinking I was going to be on video. So I'm going to go ahead and undo some buttons here and kind of relax. So I kind of wanted to begin with how I got to where I am, starting from kind of graduating from undergrad. I think I was in a similar position as what a lot of people are that go through the MAB program, or at least consider the program. So I was working for a small crop consulting company. After undergrad, I went on, started working there and was in charge of all of their operations. Had really, got really good business experience there. We were selling seed. In the wintertime, I was setting and managing our budgets and costs. I was hiring workers. I also got really good field experience. I was walking crop fields, making recommendations to farmers, also doing soil sampling. I thought I had a really good kind of agricultural background. So when I decided I wanted to take the next step and move on and just focus on the business side of agriculture, I had some troubles finding a job. I applied to companies for about 6 months, and multiple times I was kind of getting the feedback that I lacked enough business experience to be hired for the position. They said I had a good agriculture background, but since it didn't focus 100% on business, I just didn't have the experience that they needed. So at that time, that's when I decided that I needed to get a better business background and applied to the MAB program at Kansas State. It's actually right when I got accepted to the role, I put it on my resume. I put it on there as I was currently enrolled in this program. My graduation date was going to be in 2017, and that I was able to work full time while I was going through this program. After putting that on my resume and reapplying, within 2 weeks, I got a call back, and within 3 weeks, I got an offer. So I'm not saying that that's what did it, but I did apply to this company before and got no response, put this on my resume, reapplied, got a job within 3 weeks there. So I was at this company for a few years when Darigold contacted me out in Seattle. They didn't have a role in trading and sales, which I was currently doing for my previous company, but said they would move me to one as soon as it opened. But in the meantime, asked if I was interested in doing production planning for their ingredients division. So I'd never done anything like that. I was told it was going to be a lot of forecasting, a lot of Excel work, supply chain, logistics, that type of thing. Fortunately, the MAB program focused on a lot of these things. One of the first courses that you take when you get there is an Excel course. And it kind of gives you the basics and the fundamentals and really builds on what you know. And then every class you take after that continues to build, and you get a little bit more in-depth into how Excel works. I kind of went into this program with minimal Excel skills and left being able to run regressions out of Excel. You also take classes that cover logistics and kind of the main supply chain formulas and concepts that a lot of major companies use. So despite never working in a role like this, the company that was hiring me, that gave me the offer, and myself both felt comfortable in me taking on this role because of what I had learned kind of in the MAB program and the background that I had with some of those classes. So I had really good success in that role, got promoted into a sales and risk management position for this company. So kind of in my current role right now, there's a lot of focus on domestic and global politics, economics, as well as exchange rates, negotiating credit terms, and kind of determining what positions we take in the dairy markets based on what we think is going to happen kind of in the future. So I've been in this role for about 7 months, and I have actually referenced material from our past classes. So I've kept all my binders. I recommend if you do take this program that you also keep all your binders. Within the past few months, I have referenced material from our International Agribusiness Policy class. So that class talks about how global trade works, kind of exchange rates. You know, for me, a lot of times there's different Incoterms with how you're going to ship or sell things. Are you selling at CRF, which is delivered to a port in another country, and how you add on the tariffs and taxes to the cost of your products that way? Or are you selling, you know, customer collector, X works from the Pacific Northwest where I live at, and kind of tell the customer what kind of added costs they could be looking at, picking it up from there. You cover all those things in there. I've also referenced the applied agribusiness economics class, as well as the agribusiness risk management course. I think the risk management course is one of the more important ones that they offer, because if you're working in any sort of agricultural job, most likely the agricultural markets are going to affect your job in one way or another. And especially if you're a farmer, understanding how the market works really opens you up to a lot more profitability in your farming. Dealing with farmers and doing grain merchandising and trading in the past, you realize just how disconnected a lot of farmers are to the markets that they're growing crops in. So I think that's a huge one, especially if you're a farmer thinking about getting a little bit more education by going through the MAB program. So I've been pretty fortunate to have these classes that I took directly kind of impact and are correlated to my everyday job. But even without that, I do think there are 3, you know, main things that everybody would benefit from regardless of their profession. I think doing the thesis was the favorite part of the class for me. I was probably dreading that the most going into it. But you will never research and dive as deep into anything else in your life, probably. It changes the way you look at research papers, news, and numbers. You kind of realize just how important sources are and how the same data can be presented in a different ways to help prove your point. So, I mean, anytime, I kind of turns me into a pessimist. Anytime I see a statistic, I want to know where the source came from, and I want to know who funded the research to get those numbers. I think there's a lot of truth in kind of looking a little bit deeper than what you see. And to me, the thesis really kind of puts you in that position. I think it will forever better how you work on projects and interpret information. The second thing is the agribusiness financial management class. To me, I think this is the most important class that you'll take in the program. It's the very first class, one of the first classes you take when you're on the campus session, and it's a punch to the face. It's a hard class. Going through that one, if I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it through the program, but being able to work, you know, kind of with your classmates and being on campus for it, really beneficial. I think it is what you learn in there is essential kind of to your business development. So not only will it help you learn how businesses make money and value assets, but you also learn how to judge public companies by understanding how to read balance sheets. So you'll do a project on a public company to where you take a deep dive into their financials and their overall business health. And, you know, if you ever want to do day trading or investing in stocks, I mean, this class gives you a great foundation for that. To me, that class, honestly, on its of itself was worth going through the program. Last, I think, is the resume boost. You know, to me, undergrad degrees are a dime a dozen these days. From the people that I work with on our kind of sales and risk management team, there's a lot of smart folks there. I would say, you know, at most 10% have a master's degree. So even if you don't stay in the agriculture field, you know, you have something that the majority of applicants to other roles are not going to have. You know, to me, I think companies look at it as, you know, you're willing to put in the hard work to get things done. You're dedicated to learning and bettering yourself. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the program. You know, I'm not sure if they still allow credits for international travel. They did when I was there. A group of us went down to South America. It was a great learning experience. You really got closer with the classmates that you were working with. I think the connections, you know, like what the other 2 speakers before me have mentioned, I think the connections that you make in this program, you can't get it anywhere else. I keep in contact with everybody from our class. You know, a lot of stuff in agriculture is kind of talking to other people within the industry. So I've actually reached out to people that were not in my class, but work for food companies and also work in the dairy industry like myself. Some of them are business partners now. and other ones are just resources that we kind of talk about what's going on to try to make decisions that way. I think building that sort of connection with all those other people within the agriculture industry, that's just something that you can't find anywhere else. So to me, the whole concept of this program, the flexibility that you're able to work full time, the connections that you make, and how useful what you're learning, how applicable it is to life and work within the agriculture industry, I think is great. And, you know, to me, I highly recommend this to everybody who's thinking about taking the next step to get a graduate degree. So that's kind of all I have. Not to mention, I think Deborah and Mary, I think they are fantastic people. I feel like I could text them or email them at any time to ask them any sort of question, and I would get a response. And they're great people to work with. I don't think you will get better administrative help in a program than what these two offer. To me, dealing with people in their position and in my undergrad was always stressful. They're great. To me, it's the most stress-free thing you can do. So that's all I have. I'll turn it back to you, Deborah, and any questions that come up.
Awesome. Well, I do have a couple of questions that have come in privately on the group chat, and then I do have a couple that I actually got emailed by someone who has not been able to log in but wants to catch the recording later. So the good news is the question on the chat is also one that got emailed in. We have some participants who would like to know what the on-campus time is like, and also I'm going to roll this into what is the hardest part of the program, because I think those answers are going to be kind of similar. So, and I think you kind of just alluded to that a little bit, Ben. So I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. Just feel free to weigh in. What's the on-campus time like?
So I can speak to that. The on-campus time, it's a little nerve-wracking when you first go in. You kind of have to meet everybody and you get announced in front of the rest of the group. I would say though, within the first or second night on campus, you start to bond with people. Most of you stay within the same 1 or 2 hotels while you're on campus. And so you kind of congregate down in the common areas there, and everybody works kind of on the projects and homework together. And that's where you form the bonds that you have going forward. So the on-campus sessions, it's a lot of work. You're in the classroom all day. You get done with it at night. You get together and do all your homework. And if there's a couple hours left for beers afterwards, you go out and take advantage of that. So it's a lot of work. They're packed full of learning and homework, but it's the best couple weeks I think you're going to have throughout that whole year. Everybody working on the same thing together, and getting to know people from all over the U.S. and the world that work in the same industry you do. It's a great learning experience. I think it's the best part of the program.
I'll speak to the challenges. The 2 biggest challenges for me was one, traveling from California over there, and then 2, the thesis. So I would say that make sure you have your arrangements for a hotel and flights if you're going to fly or drive. Make sure that you have those all set up and out of the way so you're not worrying about those when you get there. And then your thesis, again, I can't stress enough, just starting on that early on. The week of being on campus, it's very enjoyable. Deborah and Mary have done a great job at creating icebreakers, opportunities for you to get to meet classmates and others in the program, professors, and they introduce themselves, and so it's really easy to get connected. It's just up to you whether or not you want to get connected, and I would encourage you to do so.
And I can chime in here. Yeah, the on-campus time is very similar to what Ben had said. You know, it's really busy during the day. You're trying to get through that course material that has to be done on campus, and you're working on schoolwork afterwards. And it is great when you can find a few free hours to have some cold beverages and just get to know everyone a little bit better. And for me personally, the biggest challenge of the whole program was probably just kind of teaching myself time management skills with, going to work and still leaving time for the family, and then when to do coursework and the classes and everything. So, but you know what, it's a great opportunity to learn, how to manage your time better.
Great. Okay, so the other questions I have are both kind of about company support a little bit. So the first one is, how did you get your company to give you the time away to be on campus?
I can maybe go first. I guess mine was, it's manager by manager at John Deere. But obviously Deere supports furthering your education. Deere does also help financially with education programs like this. And then also just having the managers know that a lot of the work that you're doing is related to the company. I think that also helps. So whenever you can do like an assignment or your thesis project or anything that could be related to help benefit the company, I think managers are more likely to allow you to have the time to go to the courses.
Off of that, I'd probably like to say that if you're working for a company that does not allow you the opportunity to learn and grow, you should probably start looking for a different company. A majority of companies and managers should want to see you succeed. And if they don't want to see that, then there's a lesser chance you're going to climb up the ladder. So my manager was very supportive. Our company was very supportive financially. I know that not all companies are supportive financially, but a lot of managers will allow you to set aside the time you need to accomplish the MAB program. At the same time, though, do them the respect of keeping them updated on what you're doing, the projects you're working on, and ask them if there's any projects in the company or challenges they're facing that you could help solve through the master's program. And so, again, most managers are just are willing to help you out with that. So I hope it works out for everybody that's making the decision to further their education.
And then the last question I have at this point is, did your company pay for the program? Is that a standard thing that they do, or did you have to make a special appeal, and then was it worth it?
So my company that I was working at when I was going through this program had a assistance for financial assistance for going back to school. I would definitely read the wording carefully when you look at whatever they offer. My company that I was with would pay for a certain percentage of my program, but then that meant that I had to stay on for 3 years after I completed the program, or else I had to pay back the money that they had put forward to help with the education. So to me, that was not worth it. I wanted the flexibility to leave if an opportunity came forward. So I did not take the financial assistance, but it is there. I just recommend that everybody read the fine print before you accept money from the company for financial assistance. But I do know companies really vary. The company I'm at now, although I'm not going back to school, has a much looser agreement with you, and they'll pay a higher percentage. It just kind of seems to be how progressive your company is and how much they value furthering your education.
My company, Spreckels Sugar Company, the way theirs is set up is it's grade driven. So you get a % of your course covered based off the grade you get. An A is 90% of your course covered. And so it really encourages you to get the best grade you can. And so I really like that about the way that they supported me. However, it was only up to a certain amount, so it did not cover the entire program. But due to the fact that I was one of the first to actually make use of the financial assistance from the company, which was surprising to me, they actually decided through my success to increase the amount that they're supporting students with. And after that, 2 of my coworkers are now in their master's programs, and they're paying for them. So I would say if you don't have knowledge of a program that pays through your work, then I would ask questions, and I would assume that'd probably be HR or accounting, because chances are there is one. And if there isn't one, it might be good that you be the first to petition for that. Some companies are typically willing to set aside some money for that.
And at John Deere, it's similar. We do have to show that you get a C or better, and then Deere will reimburse you. And then similar to Ben, you do have to stay with Deere for 2 full years after you graduate from the course. But yeah, I think that's pretty typical in the industry.
So I'm going to add just a little bit to that. One of the questions that we really encourage students to ask as they're considering our program or any other program is definitely talk with your company and find out what kind of paperwork they require to hit that tuition reimbursement process correctly, because we can work with you to get whatever you need to your company. And we've seen a lot of changes in those reporting structures and what companies are asking for on the documentation side over the last 3 years. So please feel free to talk with them and then reach out to us, and we can make sure we get you what you need. I don't have any other questions right now from the group, so let me just go through a couple of additional next steps that we would encourage you to take. If you do have questions, again, we still have plenty of time. Feel free to go ahead and type those in the chat box or put them out on the Twitter. So the first next step I would suggest would be to connect personally with one of our students or alumni. We have a large number of folks across the US and internationally who would be happy to share with you their experience. It's one of the things that our alumni and our students volunteer to do on a regular basis, and a lot of times do without us asking. Word of mouth referrals are our #1 recruitment tool, or ways that people hear about the program. So we know we're doing good work and that folks are sharing about it. So please feel free to reach back out to me, and I'd be happy to get you connected with someone who is either doing the program or has done the program, who may have been serving in the area you're currently serving in, or is currently working where you'd like to go. This is another great way to start getting networked in that sector or that company or throughout industry. So we'd really encourage you to hear firsthand again from someone who shares some interest or goals as you do. Another really great next step would be to set up an advising appointment. I'd be happy to schedule a time to meet with you to talk about your undergraduate work and preparation, as well as any questions you have regarding that company tuition reimbursement or other things regarding the MAB. I'm going to do a lot of listening to hear where it is that you want to go and what you're hoping to get out of the program, so that I can make sure we're getting you the best advice possible and getting you in classes sequenced correctly so that you can make those moves. And then finally, if you know this is going to be the program for you, we are currently accepting applications. And Lauren, I need to apologize. I did look for a green tractor, but I don't have any pictures of Willie with a green tractor, so we need to remedy that pretty quickly.
I'll try to ignore that.
Yeah, I'm going to click real quick to get through that one. We do have a cohort that starts in Olathe. It's our animal health cohort. The application deadline for that, we've extended a little bit due to COVID. June 15th is going to be the application deadline for that, so coming up in the next week or so. But if we're involved in a advising conversation, we can extend the deadline a little bit beyond that as well. So know that that's the next opportunity to be involved with the cohort. We also have a cohort that launches in January. This is our heritage program, which actually all 3 of our alumni today participated in. That one, the campus session meets in Manhattan, Kansas, and it runs in January, but the application deadline for that is October 15th. So feel free to reach out to me. Our tuition is listed there. It is $32,000 for the program, just a little bit over that right now. And our pricing strategy is that we're trying to keep our tuition costs down. We know you can go out and do a different program for 3 times as much as ours if you're interested. But we're hoping to allow as many producers as we can still participate in the program, and as many folks who don't have a tuition reimbursement plan with their companies. So we've tried to keep our tuition as low as possible. That does include your 12 courses, access to our learning management system, the time and energy of our faculty to help you work through your thesis and that advising, as well as all of your textbooks, notes, and course materials. So anything that you need to complete a class, we will be providing as far as those things are concerned. Here's a sample of the classes that you would be in. You can see at the very beginning, you would be jumping into, this is the August session, you'll jump into coursework here. And here's that finance class that Ben referenced. Here's the logistics supply chain management class. And then this is the Excel class right here. So those are the first 3 classes that you would take starting in August. If you join us in January, same thing with the classes, the first 3 off the bat. We also do have some courses that will be running if you have some of the prerequisite classes and would like to start a class earlier than January, or don't know that this is the right time for you to jump in. We do have our risk management class that begins in September that I'd be happy to talk with you about. We've just revamped the curriculum for that class. So although it does contain a lot of the information that the alumni who were here today covered, it's also a little bit more robust now. So please keep that in mind. I'm going to leave just a few more moments for questions. And here is the contact information for the program. This is our MAB program email. And then this is my phone number available here as well if you'd like to give me a phone call. Thank you for joining us. Are there any other questions? I don't see any over on the Twitter page either. So let me just thank one more time our participants for being with us today, and especially our presenters. Feel free to reach out. I know Shelby shared his information here in the chat box, so feel free to reach out at any time for connections or to find more information about the program. Thank you so much for being with us today.